course, you know by now, Apple snapped its growth streak, right? They didn't make a profit, or they made a profit. They just didn't have a profit growth. They cleared almost $10 billion. Let's not kid ourselves. They're sitting on a mountain of money. This is a company that mints cash, but profit growth is not the biggest problem, perhaps. You see the stock down there 1% today in trading. No, the biggest problem may be, oh my God, is Apple no longer cool? I know, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding, actually. Rolfe Winkler, Heard on the Street columnist, is here to talk about this one. This is what you wrote about today.
The point more is Apple no longer innovative?
Right.
Because
is Apple not the company that everybody needs to have?
To keep the profits, to keep the profits as strong as they have been, to charge the premium for its devices that it's been able to, Apple needs to make them significantly better than the competition. And 6 years after the iPhone was launched, we're now looking at, the phone that we see in our hand is still very similar to the phone we were looking at, the second version of the phone, the 3G, that came out in 2008. Really, the experience hasn't changed, and other devices have caught up.
So it's no longer magical, it's no longer revolutionary? I mean, it's still
You also don't have the marketing
phone,
magic that you had from Steve Jobs, by the way.
Right, you don't have that.
A lot of that magic, let's be clear, the iPhone was revolutionary, and Apple has had some revolutionary products, but an equal measure of its success was due to some marketing brilliance, thanks to Mr. Jobs.
So what do they need to do now? I mean, we know that there's no great big product coming in the imminent future, right? So what do they need to do to get the mojo?
This is part of the problem that you see this morning is on last night's earnings call, Tim Cook said, we're not going to see any new products until really fall of this year into 2014, which means the company will go a full year without a new product release. In the past, for instance, you'd see the new iPhone in summer or fall, but you may get a new iPad in March, April.
Right.
This year, well, last year you had a whole clump of new devices in the fourth quarter, late third, early fourth quarter.
Big refresh of the whole
refresh of the whole thing, and it looks like you're going to get the exact same thing this year. Big refresh all at once.
Yeah, and you can see there, those are the unit sales you're looking at, the iPhone, the iPad. I mean, what do they need to do to get ahead of the competition, ahead of Samsung?
One thing that's important for people to watch is the Worldwide Developer Conference. Apple announced it today. It's going to be in June. This is when developers come together and Apple shows off, for instance, it should be the new version of iOS, which is the operating system that powers the iPhone and the iPad. It's really, a lot of critics are saying it's kind of stale. Whether you want to say Google copied it with Android, they're fairly similar, they effectively copied it. But, we now have very similar experiences. So the Apple is no longer as game-changing as it once was. We need to see more coming out of Apple to really justify, like I said, what we pay for these devices. And this really was a scary thing for investors this quarter. The gross margins, lowest they've been in over 2 years, and they're not coming back anytime soon.
Right. People, in essence, people are not paying up for the most expensive.
Exactly. You're seeing a lot more people.
You're seeing
a lot more people buy cheaper, older versions of the iPhone. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. They're also buying more mini iPads. This isn't a terrible thing for Apple because to the extent they're able to get more people to buy those cheap devices, a lot of those people may not have bought an Apple product at all. And in the long run, what's more important for Apple is that people stay in what they call their ecosystem. If they're buying iPhones, if they're keeping their music in iTunes, they're more likely to buy another iPhone. They're more likely to buy other Apple devices, a Mac, an iPad, etc. So having lower price point devices is good for the long run health of the business. But in the meantime, it's pretty scary for shareholders watching the gross margins keep ticking down.
And watching the stock price keep ticking down too. All right, Rolfe Winkler, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul.